I get a cut. I think I'm top 5. I'm top 5.
Top 5 side ones, track ones.
Well, hello, and welcome to Top 5. I'm Ian Howe,
I'm Kenton McDonald.
and today we have a very special guest.
Hey, Kerby Strom. I've played with Mr. Ian Howe over here in a group called Acid Wash, and prior to that, I was in a group called Welcome Mom Walker, and then I've since played with a group called Dead Hunt and Donova as of late. So,
What's up, dude?
hey, how's it going, guys?
Dude, thanks for being here. This
Yeah.
is awesome.
Thanks for having me here in this very fancy little attic we have on such a snowy little day. It's very quaint.
Top 5 Studios.
Yes.
Yeah.
I kind of was hoping my first time on the podcast might be something like this, so this is really special, you guys.
It wouldn't be anywhere else.
Well, I'm glad we could deliver for you.
Yeah.
What do we got going on tonight?
Okay, so after deliberating a couple weeks ago, I think we came to a very, a very often debated topic, if you might, in this certain subject, but
I have and
yeah,
I will. Yeah.
and we might. So we're all distanced from each other. Hopefully, we don't get too into it. But top 5 fake bands as seen in movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love that because there are plenty of those, some of which are incredibly iconic, and I'm curious to see if there's going to be any crossover or what you guys have in mind.
Yeah, well, without too much deliberation, I was able to kind of formulate my list based on some of the fondest memories of seeing these bands, renting movies as a kid, seeing this on VHS. And these are some of the bands captured my imagination once upon a time.
Yeah, some of this goes all the way back to VHS.
It does, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's awesome. I think that's enough said there. Do you want to lead us in this with
Sure.
your number 5?
Okay, so and it's always very hard to define what makes a fake band, I guess, right? But I think this fits the rubric just fine. But I'm going with, and I don't know if they have a band name, I should say, but from Cheech and Chong Up in Smoke, the band that plays at the Battle of the Bands, right? That does Earache My Eye. So that for me that song is incredible. I think it's so awesome, just with the horns.
Do you know the name of the song?
Earache My Heart, or is it Earache My Eye? See, I'm a terrible guest here. I know the song. Mama talking to me, trying to tell me how to live. Da, 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 da. So they're doing the LA like Sunset Strip type like Battle of the Bands thing, right, in the movie. And I've read something to the effect that when they were filming it, they got this audience in there, and they had actual punk bands from the time, like the Dills apparently had played, and
cool.
I heard that the Germs were on there, and by some accounts, people were like, "Oh, the Germs played, and by the time Cheech and Chong's group got on there, they just blew them off the stage, and they couldn't hold up to that performance that they had," which is really funny because last week I had rewatched Decline of Western Civilization,
Great one.
and I was watching the Germs performance in that, and I just kind of was sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, not a chance.
Yeah, I believe that was,
It's
was that directorial debut of...
Oh, it's Penelope Spheris?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so. Anyway, I think she had done some other films in the 60s or featured in, but
There's a
yeah.
very good chance she'll come up again in this episode.
You don't say. Well, but I mean, just that song I think is just so emblematic of a fake band, right? And also on the Cheech and Chong album, there's a band called Yeska, which is also on. They do kind of some of the music in between the scenes and stuff like that, a lot of the instrumental stuffs. And I don't know. I don't know if that fits the rubric necessarily, but they're nobody knows who's in the band, or at least from what I dug up or cared to dig up on the subject. So
Cheech and Chong have records.
Right.
Yeah.
But their band Yeska is credited with doing some of the music in between, like the travel themes and stuff like that. So Anyway, yeah, that's my number 5. I feel like, because there's that one scene, particularly in the movie, like that maybe isn't worthy of the number 1 spot, but would be a nice way to usher in the list at number 5.
No, I
So,
think that's a great pick.
yeah.
Excellent.
No.
What do you got?
We're going counterclockwise.
Always.
Very good. The film is Driller Killer,
Okay.
1979, black comedy directed by Abel Ferrara, and the band is Tony Coca-Cola and the Roosters.
Oh, okay. This one is new to me.
Big part of the movie. They end up practicing next to the main character who's played by Abel, and continue to drive him completely insane, to the point of murdering people with a drill.
Yeah,
But they're a very authentic, sleazy New York punk rock, 70s punk.
So is this a fully fake band, or is there any notable people in it that you know of?
Oh, the singer Tony Coca-Cola is some kind of artist, something I don't even remember his name. But no one in the band is in other bands.
Okay.
But their songs aren't even that great, but they're cool. Everyone in the movie looks real cool.
Right, well, and it's the band that drives him to like going over the edge, because it's kind of like a Taxi Driver style movie. It's like what makes this man go completely insane,
Sure.
And he's a painter in New York, and so he's trying to work on his craft while there's this obnoxious band practicing next door or whatever. So
Not that obnoxious, but
well, but I mean,
he-
it's gritty, shitty New York in like the late 70s, early 80s.
I
so.
think I know what you're saying,
Yeah.
Kirby, because I sound more and more like my parents every day.
Yeah.
When someone tries to play a new band for me, I'm like, oh, God.
Yeah.
What is this? Some sort of a metal? Or
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I haven't seen that movie, but I want to check it out now.
yeah,
At
Definitely
least
worth
I don't think I
watching.
have it.
I think you'd remember the actual drill killing. It's memorable. And then of course there's the 90s D-beat band named after the film, Driller Killer,
Oh, okay.
Swedish.
So a very influential film.
Very.
Yeah, it
Deeply.
crossed over into the music realm.
Yeah.
Well, that's sweet. Well, I guess I'm gonna get into my number 5. You guys cool with that?
Yeah, go
I
for
think
it.
it's time.
Yeah.
All right. So my band is from the 1996 film That Thing You Do.
Okay.
Anyone who knows
What are you
me
gonna call them?
Yeah.
anyone who knows me personally knows I'm a huge Tom Hanks fan, and like the rest of the world, I'm no different. We all love him. He's the best. No question about it. But this is his directorial debut, and the song That Thing You Do is so good. I love it. And then so did a lot of America. It actually charted at number 41 on the billboards when that movie
It's
came
a
out.
fucking hit.
It's a good song.
If we had to go fake songs for movie or songs of fake bands for movies, probably would have made the cut.
It's
but
up there.
the rest of their
Yeah.
the rest of their material doesn't do it for me.
They were also known as the Oneaters in
Sure.
the beginning. Later became the Wonders.
Well, one thing I think that is worth mentioning for that, and maybe this might play into some of your other picks, but I appreciate that the songs written for the Wonders are like era correct.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's some other movies, as you may know, that might be on your list that are supposed to represent maybe the 60s or 50s that are wildly incorrect and based on the sound of the music of the time, the styling.
I'm gonna
So
go on a limb here and think that you're saying. I hope I'm not gonna mess up any of your top fives. But are you thinking maybe Eddie and the Cruisers?
I might be implying something of that.
I thought about the Eddie and the Cruisers. Great film, but for a 1950s, 1960s band to sound like 1980s Bruce
Springsteen, yeah.
like no way. Come on, give me a break.
Yeah, I do appreciate it though, from the absurdist quality to it. But yeah, it's an egregious error. I mean,
Ahead of its time.
yes.
Oh man. Yeah. So that's.
Yeah.
I'm with you there. Well, Kirby, let's move on to you. What's your number 4?
Okay, so number 4, this kind of satiates those who enjoy heavy metal, hard rock, and I'm going with from the film Rocktober Blood, Billy I. Harper, who sang the song Angel Eyes, among some other ones. But the band that performed it is essentially Sorcery, which I don't know if it's truly the same members that made up Sorcery that did stunt rock. And now, so Sorcery is a real band. They played the LA club scene in the 70s. Like you can see some clip ads from the 70s where they like opened for Van Halen and stuff. I mean, I'm sure I'll just have to look at the record to see who sang on it or whatever. But it is, for all intents and purposes, a fake band. And it's a really rad soundtrack. The movie is maybe less rad. I mean, it's a definitely fun and enjoyable film, a good one to have and watch with friends while you're drinking. But it is, it's not Casablanca. I'm not, even as far as horror movie standards. But it is a fun slasher, and it has the horror heavy metal element, kind of the satanic panic element. So that for me, and that's also kind of my scene points with that one too. But I do legitimately really like that soundtrack and the songs on that. And I'm a huge Sorcery fan, a huge stunt rock fan. So had to get that in there. So.
I'd expect nothing less.
Yeah.
Thank you for all the facts there.
Well, we have to be meticulous, right? It would be doing an injustice if I didn't include that there was a real band behind the band, right? Because when that information's there, I feel like it's necessary, right?
People have to know.
Yeah, the people have to know.
We have to tell them. All right, Ian, what do you got?
So with this one, this was a movie I had never seen until I was talking to my friend Haley and told her about the concept for this podcast, and she's like, "Oh, you got to check this movie out." The film is Rock and Rule, from 1983 Canadian movie. Kirby, you've seen it?
Yeah, the animated. Yes.
Animated, yep. But two great groups in the band. The one that I want to put on my list is they don't really have a name in the movie, but at one point the antagonist Mock refers to them as the Omars, because one of the lead singer's names is Omar.
Okay.
And the Omar songs are all either Cheap Trick, just Cheap Trick songs, and very good Cheap Trick songs.
Which ones?
They're all made for the movie.
Oh, okay. It's not like they're covering Cheap Trick.
No, it's actually Cheap Trick.
Oh, okay.
But my favorite song of theirs is a Debbie Harry song, which is called Angel's Song, and Angel is the other lead singer. And then the other band in the movie is Mock Swagger. I don't know if you can guess what he's named after. Might be Mick Jagger, but
okay.
And the roller skating Schwepler brothers, and their songs are all either Lou Reed or Iggy Pop.
Oh, okay.
But the Omar's songs, I think, are better. Although I prefer the artists that.
Yeah.
But yeah, especially that Debbie Harry song. It's a fucking hit.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And it's a cool movie. I don't like animated movies. I can pretty much say that. But it's super like post-apocalyptic, dark, spooky shit. The animation for grown-ups.
Right. And in truth, I haven't watched Rock and Roll. It's been on my list for a long time to watch, but as I understand it, it's kind of like the counterpiece to heavy metal, But I mean, without kind of like the Frazetta, Boris Vallejo or Boris Vallejo
or
style
the
animation.
Use.
Well, I mean, that's up to you as the viewer, right? What you do
sure
on your
there
own
was
time.
plenty of that. Debbie Harry, 83, come on.
Oh,
That's,
sure.
yeah.
Well, that's cool you put that on there because I wouldn't have actually even thought to go into the animated world. So that was a cool reference from your friend.
Yeah, well, thank you, Haley.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Angel's song, it's so fucking good.
I'm excited to check it out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my number 4 is a film from 1993, CB4,
Oh, okay.
the Cell Block 4.
Yeah.
Incredible parody of NWA with Chris Rock. One of my all-time favorite movies. It's hilarious. And their song, Straight Outta Low Cash, it's like, it's such an honor to be parodied by Chris Rock in the early 90s. Like, that's huge. The fact that he got a movie made to represent like early gangster rap group is awesome. Phil Hartman's in it and it's great. Another great song they have in that film, Sweat on My Balls. It gets me every time.
Yeah.
And also, as a side note, there is a character in this film who Chris Rock's character cannot stand, and he's a famous musician and goes by Wacky D. It's actually Wacky D and Sunshine. And it's played by Wacky D is played by Stoney Jackson. And so there's a scene where they're watching a music video with the song Wacky D is in the House. And it's full like making fun of MC Hammer.
Maybe a guy worth making fun of.
Oh yeah. So if you haven't seen this movie, you got to, or at least look up this clip because it's hilarious. But that movie in general, to me, and there's a lot of like interviews. It's almost like a mockumentary, like a Christopher Guest style thing. Because in the beginning, they're like interviewing Ice Cube and Eazy-E and the singer for Butthole Surfers and asking them the first time they met Gusto, and it's totally false and kind of improv, and it's just epic. So great film, great band. Had to put them there at number 4.
There you go.
Boom.
Okay, so I guess it's me for number 3 now, and we're kind of starting to really get into the meat of the matter here. And this perhaps is maybe a controversial pick for it being so low on the list, because it is truly defines a fake band, if you will. And so I chose for number 3 Crucial Taunt from the film Wayne's World. So, I don't really know what needs to be said about Crucial Taunt that hasn't already been said, or
I don't have to mention that Cassandra isn't actually playing the bass.
Right? Because so much is said about Crucial Taunt.
Can I mention that they actually suck?
I don't know.
It was the 90s. Back then, that was incredible music. We're only looking back in hindsight and knowing that it sucks. But at the time, that was,
I don't know.
They were the best.
I thought they were pretty cool because
you would listen to a Crucial Taunt record.
Perhaps, and I mean, as I don't know, I feel like I've kind of scraped the bottom of the barrel with a lot of rare rock bands and AM radio bands from the 70s, hard rock, like. Just few things really excite me anymore. So sometimes just that, like the really fluffy kind of stuff like that is like what I want to listen to, or like I don't need to hear the most obscurest band of all time. Sometimes like something that will satiate me is like throwing on a Raspberries record or something.
Cover of Ballroom Blitz.
Yes. Well, okay. And to that point, that was probably the first time I had ever heard that song. Was from Wayne's World, easily. I hadn't heard the Sweet at that time, when I was 5 or 6 years old, because we had
really?
yeah, because we had the I don't know if you remember this promotion that McDonald's had at the time, but they were selling like VHS, and I remember like getting Field of Dreams, Wayne's World, and like Addams Family on VHS, and so we watched the Wayne's World movie above and beyond all the other ones, and that's probably like one of my most viewed films of all time. But aside from that, another one worth mentioning on there that Crucial Taunt covers is the Dwight Twilley song "Why You Want to Break My Heart," which is a pretty good one.
Yep.
That also scratches that itch, like again, like I was saying, like the 70s AM rock, like for Dwight Twilley, just like sometimes I just want to listen to something like that,
Like, and before we get too far away from that, when we're talking about the cover of Ballroom Blitz, is if you guys haven't heard it, the Surf Punks, their version of Ballroom Blitz may be the best version of that song.
All right, that's high praise. Sweet is truly one of my favorite bands. So
I know. Check it out. That's
All right,
why I
all
wanted
right,
to
all
tell
right,
you.
All right, yeah. But so yeah, for number 3, I got Crucial Taunt, and perhaps it's a little low on the list, but still high praise. So
Penelope, you're back in the mix.
As we knew you would be. My number 3, the movie's from 1983, Get Crazy.
okay,
Tell
You
me
guys
more.
seen it? You guys seen it?
I've never seen this.
I don't think I've
Tell
seen
me
it.
more.
Saw it for the first time in Blackwater, but there was no sound on because it's a bar, so I had to go home and watch it myself. Theme song by the Sparks.
okay.
That's cool. Get Crazy. Malcolm McDowell stars as Reggie Wanker, who is kind of a washed-up rock star, but still hot.
Mm.
If there wasn't a better band in the movie, even his song would have definitely made my list. But there is a band called Nada, who has it's kind of like a Go-Go's Bangles kind of thing. It's like 15 women,
Yeah.
like they got saxophone stints, backup singers, the full deal, and it's like super cool. Pop music with an edge. Their cut is "I'm Not Gonna Take It," and it's sick, and they're great. And then for their second song, they come out. They in the movie, his name is Piggy, but it's Lee Ving from Fear,
Okay.
and he fronts their second track, which is just Fear covering Hoochie Coochie Man. And another highlight is we got Lou Reed again as a struggling artist experiencing writer's block, who is stuck in a taxi ride for the majority of the film. But he finally shows up and does his thing for only the main character and his sister, who is a huge fan of his. But I didn't want to include that because it's really just Lou Reed.
Right.
As much as I love Lou Reed. Maybe my favorite singer of all time.
Well, and also
Right
it's
up
kind
there with
of
Joey Ramone.
Isn't that
those-
kinda-
those two voices are my favorite voices to hear.
Really?
yeah.
Really.
Lou Reed, love him, don't love him that much to
Love
put
him.
him in my number 2 of all
I
time.
just love
I
a-
would say
a
this in-
bad singer.
I wouldn't
it just
put him in my
sounds
top
good to me.
5 singers.
Singers? Yeah, he's easily in my top 5.
I don't mean this disparagingly, but it's almost like to what you were saying. Like Lou Reed built a career off of like writing songs with that like writer's block or whatever that you're, like that's kind of part of his charm, right? And then when you watch like live performances of him doing his songs, he doesn't sing the melodies in the same way. It's
He's
always
a-
like
No, by all definitions, he's a terrible singer, but
right.
his voice is so comforting to me.
Yeah, well, and it's part of the bigger scheme of like that his image of like what he wants to do with his art. It's like still it changes, with like every performance and stuff.
Sure, but there's also the thing of like what's good and what you like.
Yeah.
And I like Lou Reed. Yeah,
Yeah.
He's a singer, and he's also a fucking groundbreaker. I mean, Velvet Underground, that first album, what was it, 67?
Yeah.
And like no one had ever heard anything that sounds like that.
Sure.
Like,
I guess my point is
he
it always
deserves
feels like
his credit.
I don't think that's I just feel like he was
and I
always
love
like
what he does.
he was always needling his audience a little bit, like even down to the Lulu album he did with Metallica. It's like it's like it's like
that shit's just laughable. That
Right,
one might
but
be in top
it's an
5 worst albums by artists I
but
like.
it's an extension of this just like experiment, right? Like to just see how far he could push something,
Right,
like
yeah.
that, which is like just his career is like
Which is kind
absurdism and shit,
Well, it's almost
But-
exactly what Bob Dylan did, where
Right.
people
Who,
believe.
and Bob Dylan is actually who his character in this movie is based off of.
Oh, interesting. Okay, well, Bob Dylan, the similar thought is that he just gave up on writing music and wanted to lose all of his fan base, so he kept putting out shittier and shittier albums.
I think they're both remarkable artists.
Oh, 100%. That's uncontested for sure.
I can remark on both of those artists, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you just contested on one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was a remark.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to get into my number 3. My number 3 comes from the 1988 film with John Cusack, little film called Tapeheads.
Oh,
All right, okay.
Okay, so the band of that movie that they get their first big break to record is this band called the Blender Children, which is really just the Lords of the New Church, and they have a song called it's called Mr. MX7. And so they record the music video for it. It's hilarious. I'm a huge Stiv Bators fan, and when this became the premise of the show, I knew it had to be in there. And the movie's great in it of itself. And Jello Biafra has a cameo at the end as well. But yeah, the Blender Children, aka Lords of the New Church.
very good.
Okay, so I guess it's back to me, and I'm going to call an audible right now because originally for number 2 I had The Wonders, and I will go ahead and expand on what you said. What you failed to mention was that Fountains of Wayne was The Wonders, who wrote the songs for that out
That
for
was
that.
Fountains of Wayne.
Yes,
I had no idea.
I might be misspeaking, but it was the principal songwriter or one of those guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
What
just
was
that-
their big hit?
Stacy's mom. Right.
She's got it going on.
Right. So, but calling in an audible, and it fits the rubric technically. I'm a massive fan of this band, but they starred in a little film called Slade in Flame, and Slade portrayed a band called Flame, which that the soundtrack consists of Slade's songs, but as performed by Slade, right? But I mean, if you
Whoa.
buy it out at the record store, it's Slade, right? But the album's called Slade, and the record's called In Flame, and that has a lot of their huge hits, like
Wait, but did they form for the movie?
no, they didn't. But they're portraying somebody else, so I mean, that seems
That
absolutely
counts, yeah, yeah.
that
Okay,
absolutely.
Okay, no rules. Fuck it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
great.
totally.
Yeah.
Well, and so one of the things in the beginning of the movie, they kind of play on like the UK rock scene of the time, like Noddy Holder, lead singer of Slade, does like the Screaming Lord Sutch thing where he's like in a coffin and he can't get out at the beginning. Allegedly, that was something that happened to Screaming Lord Sutch, like at one of his shows or something. So, but it's kind of like how all these people came into each other's life, and then they start this band Flame, and they catch a lot of traction, but ultimately like suffered the demise of bands trying to play the game and doing that. It's funny because it's like Slade, there was like the UK glam band, and you think it's gonna be really playful, but it's kind of like a big knock on the music industry, and it's I mean, it's not like Beatles Help. It's like it is kind of like a grim look at the music industry, and it's cool. But the thing is, like, you need subtitles because it's like the most slack jaw, like country bumpkin, like like British, like I don't think it's Cockney, but it's
I
just
have
like
a
what
harder
are they
time
saying?
understanding English. People speak English than I do most of the rest of Europe.
Yeah. So I think that totally fits the qualifications, and I love Slade. I think they're incredible, and it has some of their best songs too that they wrote as Flame and Slade and Flame. So
Perfect. That's
Yeah.
that's a great
Sick.
one.
yeah,
Sick pick. Dude.
yeah.
All right. Number 2 for me.
All right, take it away.
The film is Ladies and Gentlemen, The Fabulous Stains.
Oh,
okay.
I'm so glad that made it on your list.
Hell yeah. But I have a two-way split because both the Stains and the Looters are so fucking good. And I don't want to pick. I'm not gonna.
All right.
So that's two bands for one.
It's a non.
Two for the price of one.
All right.
Yeah. So the Stains got like a 15-year-old Laura Dern.
Sure.
And
Could be 15.
I think she's 15, maybe 16, or I think she's 15, and then Diane Lane is 16. Super young, super fucking rad, and their one song that they have on their own, what is it? Wasted Time.
Uh-huh.
Super cool, like kind of inept minimal. I mean, they don't even have a drummer. but the song rips, and the band is very cool, very ahead of its time. You know, they started filming the movie in 80. The movie didn't come out till 82. And then the Looters are pretty much the song in the movie is The Professionals, Be a Professional, and the band is Steve Jones, Paul Cook of the Sex Pistols, with Paul Simonon from The Clash on bass, and then some actor, I forget his name, singing. But both bands are fucking awesome. And then the Stains also do a version of Be a Professional, or maybe the song's just called The Professionals.
Right. Yeah.
But at the very end of the movie, it's like MTV style video, and they've figured out their shit and made it or whatever. But the movie's fucking awesome. And I think a really important movie too, especially for its time, but like very inspiring for women in punk especially.
Yeah. And also a notable appearance in that movie by Randy and the Metro Squad, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
because
a bunch of cameos. And the band they're touring with initially is I thought this guy was supposed to be like, he reminds me of like T-Rex, like the whole tour with like an English, well, I guess both these bands are English, but like a punk band touring with like a older generation band. I thought what is it? Metal Corpse. I thought that was supposed to be like T-Rex or something, just because the way he looks, and like, but it's the Tubes.
Okay, sure.
Two of those guys are from the Tubes.
Right. Very good. That one was definitely not on my radar of bands I thought of, but that are good movies. Yeah, that's a good one.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Got mad respect.
Party on.
Well, no, I just like that we're touching. Like I didn't even think about that at all. You know, I don't know if it would have made my top 5, but I also haven't seen the movie in a really long time. But that's cool. You know, I like that we're getting everything in the spectrum.
Yeah, let's get in the mix here.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I'm gonna get in my number 2. My number 2 is a band called Camel Lips. They were featured in a film. John Waters, one of my all-time favorite directors, the 1994 classic Serial Mom. And Camel Lips is L7, and it's hilarious because the camera zooms up on all of their crotches. It's the most exaggerated camel toe you've ever seen in your life. It's part of the costume, which plays into everything I love about John Waters, just taking lewd to a new level. Also, I was already familiar with them when I saw this movie when I was younger, and it's a great scene where their son, Chip, his best friend, is being chased onto stage by a serial killing mother, is then killed with like a can of Aquanet and a lighter, like sets him on fire. And the guitar player from L7 is like taking pulls off of a bottle of whiskey and then just spitting on his burning corpse. It's so fucking rad. But yeah, for me, that's like, what an incredible cameo for a band. Great movie. The
Definitely
song
counts.
Yeah, the song is it's called Gas Chamber, which also fits in with the whole thing. I don't think it actually appears on any other album, but it's a great song, and it ends with them chanting Serial Mom. So.
Oh man,
the
that's
crowd
funny.
anyhow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess it comes to number 1, and I should say this might be an act of heresy, but I did not choose Spinal Tap for this. I think I may be putting him in a different echelon to maybe just cover my ass or whatever, but for me, my personal number 1 is Sammy Kerr from the film Trick or Treat.
Trick or Treat, yes.
Which is actually the band Fastway, which was originally formed by Fast Eddie Clarke of Motorhead and Pete Way, the bass player from UFO.
Rad, didn't know that.
Yeah, and so by this point, I'm confident that Pete Way was long gone from the band. I don't know if he actually did anything beyond their first album, and I'm pretty confident Eddie plays on the record. But again, if he doesn't, I don't know. But it's a record that is featured prominently in every DJ night I have, regardless of season, despite the fact that it is a Halloween themed. Well, the first song is a Halloween themed song. But it's just a classic. The movie is fantastic. I'm sure most people by this point know what it is. But yeah, Trick or Treat's the film, and it's a story about a kid growing up in the suburbs who's a metalhead who feels
Ragman.
Ragman. That's right, the Ragman, who feels a connection to Sammy Kerr, who grew up in his region, and it's again, I guess I'm a terrible fan. I don't remember exactly where it takes place. Went to the same high school, right? And so he felt the same issues that he had to overcome all the same obstacles that Sammy did. He had to overcome the same obstacles that Sammy did in his environment, growing up around jocks and stuff, being harassed. And so he confides in him, and then he finds out that his hero, Sammy Kerr, dies, but he gets an acetate of one of his last recordings, which just summons the devil by playing backwards with backmasking and things like that. But it's just an awesome movie. The soundtrack kicks ass, like front to back. It's really good. It's, No,
the first time I saw that was years ago with you at the Hollywood Theater, and when we initially came up with this fake bands for movies, it was an easy thought for me, but I figured someone has for sure got to have that in their top 5. So I'm not going to touch on it. So I'm super glad you did, and that's a great number 1 pick.
Well, and in truth, it's like a record I actually listen to. Definitely a seasonal thing, and again, when DJing, at least 1 or 2 songs get played off that record every time. I mean, it has a lot of staying power for me, so I think that's why it's number 1. And again, I apologize to the Spinal Tap fans and things like that. Again, it's another echelon, I think, and they're playing shows. Spinal Tap has played shows and plays shows. So, do they fit Are they a fake band anymore? It's hard to say. I don't know.
It's not hard to say because the criteria was fake band from a movie.
Yeah,
which Spinal Tap fits absolutely perfectly.
They do.
They are the first.
They are the first. Yeah. Well, no, I don't want to say that they're the first.
No, because there were other bands made for TV,
right?
Such as Bad News.
Sure, but
Monkeys,
they're the first band to go on and perform as a band after the movie.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I've only read it. I haven't listened to them.
Right.
Cool. Well,
but they're my number 1.
Okay. Well,
right. Yeah.
I mean,
perfect segue.
Talk about a rockin' fake band from a movie.
Right.
Who do you think of first?
Yeah, easily.
I think of Nigel trying to crank it to 11 every time.
And you can't do this topic without doing Spinal Tap. So I think that's why I strayed from it. I was like, that was only
too obvious.
Yes.
And that's why I went with it.
Yeah.
Because it's obvious.
They're right, and it's necessary,
They got to be part of the conversation.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that film's great. It's also Fran Drescher's first role in a film, who is an amazing woman who I love to death. She's got an incredible autobiography. It's amazing what she's gone through in her life. But seeing her in that, which I was already a fan of The Nanny at that point when I had seen it. So I saw a young Fran Drescher and thought, oh my God, what a babe.
Yes.
I just rewatched it this week, and the line I think that got me the hardest was they're talking about the album cover being sexist, and
what's wrong with being sexy?
What's wrong with being sexy?
Yeah. Also, I mean, a shark sandwich. Obviously, that's the review for Shark Sandwich.
Yeah.
Kid sandwich. I mean,
Straight up. I mean, yeah.
Which I think that album cover is amazing. I think it's cool. Like, I would be pumped if, you got somebody do their album artwork and that's what came out. I'd be like, this is great.
You could say none more black.
Yeah.
Which is something I always say because it's so stupid.
Yeah.
It's
Also,
awesome.
the fucking end credits when there's like, what would you be doing if you weren't a rock star or whatever? He's like, I think I'd sell things. I think I could do that.
Yeah, and also just I think like the concept of being Stonehenge is just like part of nomenclature. Like it happens in my household weekly when it's like like I remember it happened a couple weeks ago. We were trying to buy like paint rollers to paint our bedroom. And it ended up being like a 1-inch like paint roller for like a crafts, and it's like, we got Stonehenge again.
And the we got Stonehenge thing goes back to your old band Welcome Home Walker.
Oh yes, right.
I was down with you when the first LPs got shipped over, and you opened them up, and the image was way smaller.
Right.
That wasn't on purpose?
No, that was.
It was a straight up mistake.
I thought that was an artistic decision.
No, it was a classic.
Yeah, it was
like
a classic
Devin and everyone was
Stonehenge.
like, we got Stonehenge.
yeah. It was, yeah. Without a doubt. Oh my God. Yeah.
No, yeah, they're an incredible band.
and so much material and so much in it.
And how cool is it that they're not like just actors, because all of those guys are actors.
Right.
They're also musicians to the point where they wrote all these songs. No, they were musicians beforehand. They didn't.
I thought they learned to play for the movie.
No,
Okay.
I mean, you can't just learn overnight how to do.
I mean,
that
if
shit
you
for a
can
movie.
lose 150 pounds, you can learn how to play guitar.
Right.
Listen, man,
Yes.
Tom Hanks in Castaway, there was a 6-month period before, the second half of the movie where he had to lose all that weight.
Right.
You can
It's
learn
not overnight.
You can learn how to play drums in 6 months. No fucking problem.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Not overnight, though.
Yeah. And also, I want to say that the inspiration for the Stonehenge thing came from Black Sabbath with the Ian Gillan era from Deep Purple when they did the album Born Again, which I love that album just like on a tangent, but that was kind of like the era of those two bands it's just Ian Gillan and the guys from Black Sabbath coalescing because they're so fucked up on drugs and alcohol that like I know Ian Gillan from stories I heard would like have like a cheat sheet for lyrics on stage when he was playing, and like allegedly from the story I heard would like flip the sheet with his toe to like read the, the
Wait, he was
lyrics.
playing barefoot or what?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's
He
different
put some
time.
double stick tape on
But-
the bottom of his boot.
Well, and I can't remember, and I think they did have like a Stonehenge for that tour or something, and I want to say it was like the opposite, where it was like oversized. It was just like way too big or something. If I remember that story correctly, I mean, somebody will correct us or
Fact check
something.
that
Yeah. But yeah.
Let's hear your number one, dude.
All right. My number one, and I don't know if everyone knows this, but this is one of my favorite bands because it is my favorite movie of all time. From Wild in the Streets, 1968, Max Frost and the Troopers, Shape of Things to Come, which the Ramones cover on Acid Eaters.
Nothing can change the shape of things.
So you know it, but have you seen the movie?
No.
The movie is so fucking good. A young Richard Pryor plays the drummer, but it's about a young kid who is just tired and hates his family.
Sounds like any young kid.
So in high school, he starts like making
Love you, family.
LSD in his basement, and his dad comes home with his brand new car that he loves. So Max puts a Molotov cocktail and blows his fucking cars up, goes off, and it becomes the biggest fucking rock star of all time, of these young people, and everyone in his band is young, and it's like kind of exploitation film of a sort.
A genre film.
A genre film,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Um,
It's an art house film. It's genre film. Yeah.
So he decides that he's going to leave home, and he does. He starts this great band, and there's a young presidential candidate who is in his 40s. People convince him, well, you got to get Max to endorse you, get him to play one of your rallies. So they get him involved, and then Max kind of ends up taking over. They start trying to get the voting age dropped down to like 14. And how it ends up playing out is that he becomes president. He gets all of his like drugged out friends in Congress, and they have these mandatory retirement camps for anyone over the age of 30s, where they're just basically living in tents being dosed on LSD every day. It's super fucking cool, super wild. And then as he's getting older, because, at this point he's in his 20s and he's about to age out, there's these young kids that are like plotting against him. That's kind of the end of the movie. But yeah, Wild in the Streets, one of my favorite movies. That song is one of my
tell us
all-time.
more about the band.
Well, they have 3 songs. 2 of the other songs by Max Frost and the Troops actually appear on the Glory Stompers soundtrack, which is one of my all-time favorite biker films starring Dennis Hopper. As far as I know, I think they only have those 3 songs. Tower Records, one of their subsidiaries, put out the 45. In fact, actually, at Kerby, at your last Christmas parties you had a couple years ago, my White Elephant gift was a copy of Wild in the Streets with a 45 of that song.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't get that gift, so.
I don't think I got the invite that year.
No, you were there. You don't remember. That's on you, man.
You have a couple Rumplemans. Who knows what year it was?
Yeah.
More than a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Max Frost and the Troopers, Shape of Things to Come. Incredible song, and that dates back to our first episode of the Ramones.
CJ, baby.
Is that CJ era?
Yeah, that CJ sings that one.
Probably the most
Talented.
underappreciated Ramone, if you will.
If ever there was one.
Yeah.
Richie, Elvis.
Yeah.
Richie only wants some more T-shirt money. Elvis, drumroll Blondie, only played with the Ramones for 2 weeks. But let's do some honorable mentions.
Okay, I can get into that.
Well, I guess I'll take it from the top. Since I started over here, I guess this isn't in my top 5 because it's seasonal, maybe. But I'm gonna have to go to. I don't know if you guys are familiar with a holiday classic, Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas.
No,
It's done by Jim Henson Studios. So I want to say it's from. It's probably from later than 1980, but Paul Williams does the music, who did like Phantom of the Paradise and stuff like that. He wrote many songs kind of as like a ghostwriter for people, or people performed his songs. But the band is the River Bottom Nightmare Band in Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. And basically it's a story about Emmett and his mom and how they've kind of fallen on hard times, and they're, kind of doing whatever they can to make money. And then there's this talent show, and he like enlists his friends to like do it. But there's the Nightmare Band that is kind of this rip and rock and roll band that like has all the bells and whistles, and they're kind of more of a grassroots style, country, like whatever, vocal harmonies, they got the jug band and that sort of thing. So they're like the adversaries in the situation. And and it's really cool. And they kind of have like little punk posturing and stuff like that. It's a total classic and a tearjerker for the genre, but I thought it just missed the list. I mean, it's just shy, but highly recommended.
Yeah, funny because also my honorable mention is a Jim Henson.
Oh.
We got Dr. Teeth and the
Oh,
Electric
yeah.
Mayhem.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
First featured in the 1975 pilot of the Muppets called Sex and Violence.
Ooh.
I don't know if that rings a bell to any listeners.
The Exploited.
Ooh.
Oi.
But we're talking movies here, so I'm going the Muppets movie, 1979. And they're just a fucking cool group. You know, of course, everyone loves Animal. You know, he's a fan favorite, but
Which is based off of the drummer from Cream, if I'm not mistaken. Have you guys?
Ginger Baker?
Yeah, that's
Maybe
supposed to
maybe
be-
Keith.
I believe that. Yeah,
Maybe
'cause
Keith Moon.
strikes me more as a Keith Moon.
Just because he did the theatrical drumming,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
Wild Style.
yeah. Like, yeah.
But my favorite member is Floyd Pepper, the bass player. But their song in the movie, "Can You Picture That?" It's a hit.
Yeah.
That whole I love that movie.
The Muppet movie?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah. Moving Right Along.
Yeah.
What's fucking
Moving Right Along is incredible.
The songs about rainbows.
Yeah,
Rainbow Connection.
Rainbow
Which I
Connection.
think Willie
What
Nelson
beautiful,
wrote.
beautiful
Paul
song.
Williams wrote that song.
Oh, Paul Williams.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was connected with that, with the Henson world.
Good shit.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
And
great
Jen
pick.
will appreciate that. She loves the Muppets. She's a big Muppets mark, so
So will Andy Place. He loves Kermit the Frog.
yeah.
And in Spanish, as homage to my wife, Gustavo.
Sure.
He's called Gustavo in Spain and South America. Or actually, he might have a different name in South America. But a frog with many names.
Yeah. And many hats too.
Awesome.
Wore many hats.
I guess my first honorable mention, because I got a couple. Are you guys got some more to work with?
Oh, yeah.
I got another.
The 1989 film Heathers.
Okay.
When I was in high school, I saw it for the first time when I was about 16 years old, and my friends would always joke about making Big Fun T-shirts because that's the fake band from that movie, Big Fun, with their song Teenage Suicide, which is what Christian Slater makes the fake petition for everyone to sign to get Big Fun to play their high school, I don't know,
Dance.
yeah, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
And and that's kind of an homage or parody to Queen's Don't Try Suicide, which came out in 1980. So
Yeah.
Big Fun. That's an honorable mention for me.
Right. Yeah. Good movie too.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Come on, you're gonna call
Sick
it good?
flick.
You're gonna sit
Yeah,
here, look
okay.
me in the eye, and tell me it's a
I
good
love early
movie?
Winona. I love, I'm a fan. So what can I say? I'm sorry.
Wino forever.
Yeah. Okay. What do we see? Let me see. Oh, okay. I don't know if this is technically fair because it's not a movie, but maybe it's just because I want to endorse it. But and I don't know if it's necessarily a fake band, but it's a manufactured band, and so I'm sneaking it in because it needs more exposure. But once upon a time at Disney, I believe it was Disneyland in Southern California, the band named Helix was assembled as an attraction in like the Tomorrowland area. And it's pretty cool because they were fashioned and outfitted with a bunch of outfits that look like they would be in Star Wars, like right in Empire Strikes Back, like on Hoth, right? Like there's like
That's a hot band we did not mention.
what's that?
The
Sure, the Jabba the Hutt, yeah.
what's the name?
knows?
Jorg and the blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So this band is basically kind of like fashioned like right outside of the Star Wars universe, and they had like posters illustrated that were again kind of like the Frazetta style, where it's like sci-fi fantasy, and it's kind of like up my alley too because musically their songs, like they don't have anything that is studio recorded that has been released. But there is like home footage of somebody at Disneyland watching it on the Tomorrowland stage, and there's all the theatrics. There's like robots and shit and like all this stuff happening. And the music is like, I love it because it does like every genre, it pulls from everything, you know. So like you just have to have an open mind as a music fan. It's like they might have like kind of the hard rock song, and then they have like the new wave poppy song and stuff. But it was built on the premise that it was going to be this bigger thing. They were going to make a movie or something, or they was going to launch their careers somehow, and it just like has fallen by the wayside. And there's like a YouTube documentary that you can watch. It's like an hour and a half long, and it features members of the band. They talk about it and their intentions. They're all like very accomplished musicians. But Helix, it's H-A-L-Y-X. Maybe it's pronounced Helix. Like I can't remember. I watched it this summer, but it's really cool. And again, it's just like the music they do is kind of between all these different genres. And it's really neat. You know, they got like the pointy headstock, like sweepy guitar guy that just like a ripper. They have this keyboard guy who's got like the ELP shit, and he's just like. And there's a female vocalist who's kind of like Pat Benatar or something. So it's just like it hits all the genres, and I love that kind of shit. You know, I don't know. It's definitely worth recommending. Yeah, it's cool, but it was also supposed to appeal to kids. So I'm gonna sneak it in. I'm gonna say it counts as a fake band.
Another one I want to throw in is from Airheads,
Oh,
Lone Rangers.
Oh yeah.
it would be remiss if we didn't mention the Lone
Let's
Rangers.
get them in there.
Yeah.
The only song they play is, of course, a relatively corny cover of Reagan Youth, Degenerated.
Yeah, with that and crazy metal drum intro to it. It's because in the beginning the tape cuts out after the drum
When they actually have it on tape.
Yeah, so they're trying to play it, and you don't know it's degenerated at first because it's just this crazy
Drums and
long
bass or whatever,
drum fill. Yeah, and then what a surprising thing for a young punk rocker to hear. A great New York City band, Reagan Youth, being covered in a Hollywood film. Can you believe it?
Which is only an okay movie in reality. Chris Farley's great. It's got moments. I like that. What's Kramer's name?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kramer in the station.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck. Michael Richards. Got Michael Richards in a very unnecessary role in the movie, and that's that's funny.
Totally.
And should we bring up how stupid the name Lone Rangers is?
I think the movie covers that. But no, that's a great one. Yeah, that was on my honorable mention, so I'm glad you covered that. Another one for me is a band that actually has no song at all. But they are referenced in a movie we spoke about earlier, Wayne's World, The Shitty Beatles.
Sure.
Gotta be one of the greatest band names of all time. I believe Meatloaf is the door guy in that situation. And they asked who plays, like, oh, it was the Shitty Beatles. Like, how were they? Oh, they sucked.
Yeah. Well, and if we're gonna go there, we might as well throw Jolly Green Giants in, right?
They played the same night, right?
Right, they did.
So Crucial Taunt headlined that, I believe.
Right. And I guess if we're gonna
Top
go
5 shows I was never at.
Yeah. I've seen the flyer many times, never was there. But I guess if we're gonna do Wayne's World, I mean, it would be only correct that we cover Wild Stallions, of course, from Bill and Ted's, right? I mean, that's a band.
No,
it's
absolutely.
a fake band.
That's
so
100%.
And what's your favorite song?
Only other one of my.
All I remember is the song "In Time," where they go into the futuristic part of the world where it's like a utopian place, and that's playing in the background, and everybody's air guitaring together. Yeah,
I don't even remember
like,
any of their songs.
We'll be dancing in the streets all night. Like that's the only part I remember the song, and everybody's like air guitaring together, like synchronized, and it's like this, beautiful moment.
I just remember, of course, the whole movie's alluding to how their songs saved the universe,
right?
But don't ever remember a Wild Stallions song.
Right.
Yeah, me neither. I couldn't name a Wild Stallions song, but Wild Stallion, one of the most important fake bands from
Right.
movies.
And first to come to mind where you're like, fake band from a movie. Who do you think of?
Sure.
Wild Stallions.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, first you think Bill and or Ted.
And then Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually how it goes.
Yeah.
Well, sweet, man.
I got to get that in there, right?
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it sucks that playing the top 5 game, the Spotify game, is not super conducive to this top 5 list, as so many of the bands are not on Spotify.
Yeah, a lot are, but a lot of them, because they're a soundtrack band, it doesn't pop up on a top 5.
The
Or-
shitty Beatles don't even have a song.
Right. Or
I-
you're having to compare other people's top 5 versus just one artist. So it's kind of hard to assimilate those results, I
It's
suppose.
just a huge
But
fucking
y-
bummer, man. This shit sucks.
Yeah. But you know what, though? It's great because it lends itself. We're going to rain check this and we'll do another show maybe where
hope
I can
so,
be on
yeah.
and we can maybe choose a different topic that would lend itself to a top 5 subject where we can apply those rules.
Absolutely.
So
That'd be fun.
that would be fun.
It's a brilliant game.
It is
You're
a good
brilliant
game.
man.
Oh,
Yeah.
get out of here.
No, seriously, Kirby, thanks so much for
Yeah.
being here. You've been a terrific guest and was happy to talk with you and hang out with you.
Yes, thanks guys for having me here. Yeah, this is good. Let's do it again. And yeah, this is great. I'm still learning to hear my own voice here on headphones and doing this sort of thing
No
and talking about this
excuses,
sort of
dude.
But no, this is good. This is good. I like this and I had fun with this. So thanks for having me on.
Hell yeah. Thanks
Yeah.
for coming.
Yeah.
All right, we love you, Kirby.
Yeah.
Thanks so much,
Thanks
man.
guys. Wee 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 wee.
Wow, wow.
Don't get me wrong, try getting me right. Your face is okay, but your purse is too tight. I'm looking for pound notes, loose change, fat checks, anything. Give me some money, give me some money.
This has been a Top 5 production, produced by Kenton McDonald. Our theme song was by Ian Howe. Our logo artwork is from Andrew Colgan at Studio AYC. Edited by Kenton McDonald with editing assistance from Ian Howe. And a very big thank you to Andrew Bassett for today's outro music. And if you'd like to request a criteria, you can email us at podcast.topfive@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.